The man is just bored at home hammering a steak. He inadvertently attracted a powerful expert who had long transcended the void, peeking with his butt raised. The rotten kitchen knife he casually tossed aside. Can make several brothers with deep bonds turn against each other in order to fight for the kitchen knife. Even a fallen girl who claimed to be a saint attempted to seduce him for free. However, he decisively refused. His name is Yi Feng. He is a transcender. He died suddenly 5 years ago due to playing games continuously for 90 hours. He accidentally crossed over to the immortal cultivation world called Celestial River Continent. He is the same as all transcenders. The sleazy middle-aged man in front of him is his system, the Golden Finger. The system started out by maxing out all his mortal skill points. And the system also gave him a 600 square meter dojo. At this point, Yi Feng has already begun to fantasize about mastering sacred martial arts, destroying the Qingshan Sect, and reaching the pinnacle of life. He can finally begin his journey of immortal cultivation. But the system unexpectedly said, "Why bother cultivating immortality?" Immortality? Ha! Not without a spiritual root. This is not within my responsibility. There are other people who have traveled through time waiting for my redemption. Goodbye, my friend. After saying that, the system disappeared in a flash, leaving Yi Feng alone in the wind. But the next day, he still came surreptitiously to the spiritual root test site of Riverpiece City. As a result, after the test, it was confirmed that he indeed lacked spiritual root. Such results scared the girl in charge of the test silly. You should know that in the Celestial River Continent, as long as one is a human, they all have spiritual root. She has never seen anyone who is without spiritual root. How can he cultivate immortality without spiritual root? In this lifetime, he is destined to be without a chance for immortal cultivation. He received such an evaluation. Yi Feng instantly petrified in place. Nevertheless, he remained undaunted. Over the next 5 years, he visited all the spiritual root testing sites in Riverpiece City. But the results he received were all without spiritual roots. This also made him thoroughly desperate. He decided to peacefully become a salted fish. He set up a stall on the street and started selling books. However, his calm life was disrupted today by a pair of sisters. Yi Feng looked at the two people's outfits. He knew that these two girls were wealthy. He immediately began promoting to the little girl. "Miss, I see that you have an extraordinary bone structure. You have innate talent. You are a rare martial arts genius that appears once in a millennium. I'm selling these martial arts manuals for 10 gold each, but I'll sell them to you at half price." The little girl was so pleased by his praise. She immediately set her sights on Ma Shifu's the Hunyuan Lightning Fury Whip. But just as she was about to buy it, her sister grabbed her and tried to leave. The sister saw the little girl persistently saying she wanted to buy it. The sister turned her head and rebuked. "Luli, both you and I are cultivator mortals. What's so good about buying a comic book?" Yi Feng knew that what she said was right, but her words were really hurtful. The little girl suddenly yelled, "Am I next?" and instantly transformed into a Barbie tank. Yi Feng was stunned by this scene. However, his book finally sold. The little girl excitedly ran over and called her sister to watch together. The older sister took the book somewhat helplessly. She originally planned to take a casual look to cope with it. She was met with a pure surge of martial intent. This made her, who had been stuck in a bottleneck in her arduous cultivation, have a breakthrough. She instantly broke through to the stage of Grand Martial Master. Even the little girl beside her has broken through several levels and comprehended the Martial Master stage. This also made her have a bold guess in her heart. Could it be that the bookseller just now is a powerful figure from a different world? I must tell Venerable Master. And at this moment, her Venerable Master, the sect leader Lu Qingshan of Qingshan Sect, who possesses the strength of martial spirit stage. He is bare-armed. He is wielding a large machete while chasing a wolf demon. But just as Lu Qingshan was about to deliver the final blow to the wolf demon, he was preempted by someone else. This sneak attack without honor was carried out by none other than his archenemy, Patriarch Ning Xuanwu of the Xuanwu sect. By absorbing the spiritual power of the wolf demon just now, Ning Xuanwu broke through to the martial king stage. Lu Qingshan looked at his archenemy, who had already broken through. Lu Qingshan muttered to himself that it was not good. At this time, Ning Xuanwu also challenged Lu Qingshan. A battle to the death will take place in 3 days. If you can defeat me, I will spare your sect. But if you lose, the Qingshan sect will cease to exist, being completely swallowed up by my Xuanwu sect. Lu Qingshan returns to the Qingshan sect. Lu Qingshan remained calm on the surface. He claimed publicly that he was going into seclusion to make a breakthrough. But after his disciples left, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He has been stuck at the martial spirit stage for many years. He has never successfully broken through. Now, how can he possibly defeat Ning Xuanwu at the martial king stage? In the duel 3 days later, he is simply going to his death. He might as well just commit suicide. At the very moment Lu Qingshan was crying, a voice came from outside the door. Disciple Lanxue seeks an audience with Venerable Master for an urgent matter. Upon hearing this, Lu Qingshan immediately stopped crying. He cleared his throat and said, "Come in." Shortly after, Lanxue handed Ma Shifu's the Hunyuan Lightning Fury Whip to Lu Qingshan. Then she explained the breakthrough that had occurred. But Lu Qingshan clearly did not believe it. He also rebuked her for being the chief disciple of the Qingshan sect. She is not focused on cultivating to achieve a breakthrough. Instead, she is deceived by the common people. She is simply foolish. This book is completely mediocre and useless. However, Lanxue indicated that the Venerable Master should calm down. Disciple is wary and asks for your review. If disciple lies, disciple is willing to accept punishment. He looks at Lanxue with a serious expression. Lu Qingshan also decided to give it a try. At the moment he opened the book, a powerful martial intent swept over him. The martial intent instantly brought him into the state of inner observation. The martial intent began to continuously chastise his body. Suddenly, a burst of golden light shot straight up at the cloud fragrance. He actually broke through to the martial king stage. And this scene was also seen by Yi Feng, who was eating noodles. In an instant, he felt that the noodles in his hand were not appetizing anymore. He muttered, "Which idiot broke through this time?" Lu Qingshan, who had broken through at this moment. He still had a blush on his face. He swallowed hard and, trying to contain his excitement, said, "The opportunity to eliminate Xuanwu sect has arrived. Someone can effortlessly draw a book with immense martial intent. This person's cultivation level is unfathomable. Hurry and go pay respects to that reclusive mighty being." However, upon hearing this, Lanxue became flustered. She thought to herself, "I was so arrogant in my words before, offending that person who is truly outstanding. Will he wipe out the Qingshan sect in a fit of anger?" A painting casually hanging in his house contains powerful martial intent. The martial king, a strong individual, just took a glance and instantly comprehended. To please him, they even took on the role of a janitor with disciples in his dojo. However, he considers himself an ordinary person. After Yi Feng sold the book, he finally had the money to buy meat to eat. Immediately, he set up a hot pot next to the book stand. At that moment, not far from him on the street, a dog was being chased and beaten by a group of people because it stole meat. This dog was not an ordinary dog. He is the royal prince of the overlord sky-devouring wolf clan in the realm of Yaguais, equivalent to the martial spirit stage of humans. If he had not been betrayed by the same clan and had his spiritual power nearly exhausted, he would not have resorted to stealing meat and being chased and beaten by a few mortals. A mortal who was cooking hot pot stood in front of him. When he saw that it was actually a mortal, he immediately felt very disdainful. Even though his spiritual power was weakened, it was still easy as pie to kill an unsuspecting mortal. He immediately mobilized the spiritual power within his body, turning it into a giant shadow of a wolf pouncing forward. One person and one dog gazed into each other's eyes. With a loud thud, the giant shadow of the wolf dissipated. A foolish dog was lifted up by a person with just one hand. Yi Feng laughed at the foolish dog as well. When did a foolish dog arrive in P1 City? This scene also startled him. He looked at the Yogwai wolf in his hand, and saw that his power was actually ineffective against this mortal. The Yogwai wolf instantly became enraged, releasing its entire body's spiritual power towards this mortal. However, such a powerful attack did not cause any harm to Yi Feng. On the contrary, the hot pot beside him was knocked over. Looking at the hot pot that he had barely eaten, he was instantly black-faced. His face twisted, touching Yogwai wolf's nose and said, "You little cutie. You look really fragrant." This startled Yogwai wolf. He couldn't believe that he, the great Yogwai king, was about to be eaten by a mere mortal. He was so frightened that he passed out directly. Later, Yi Feng set up a barbecue grill on the side again. However, it had only been grilled for a short while. He saw a teenager with twin ponytails named Zhong Qing. He lay on the ground crying and screaming because he couldn't cultivate. Yi Feng thought he had come to beg for food when he saw him like this. Yi Feng said, "You want to eat? You have to pay for it. Even though my barbecue is famous far and wide, I won't share it with you even if you call me daddy." Who can stand to listen to such words? Zhong Qing firmly said, "Even if I starve to death, I won't eat a piece of your meat." But he had just turned his head. He caught a strong whiff of meat scent. Oh my, who could resist this? He changed his tune in the next second. He snatched the kebab from Yi Feng's hand. He started devouring it hungrily right away. He said while eating, "I told you I'm not going to eat your stuff." His sudden change in attitude left Yi Feng stunned. "I didn't want to give it to you. Are you robbing me?" At this time, Yi Feng asked again, "Miss, were you driven out by the Qingshan Sect?" Zhong Qing was suddenly stunned. "Did I show it that clearly? But speaking of which, I am a man." Yi Feng took a look. This girl actually has the same experience as her own. So he threw the key to the dojo to her and said, "You have nowhere else to go, right? I happen to need a partner. Why don't you come along? I'll go buy some seasonings. You can go back to the dojo first," Yi Feng said. Without waiting for Zhong Qing to respond, he hummed a tune and left. This kind of irresistible way of speaking made Zhong Qing feel a little shy. If she could have a job in P1 City, her parents would also feel more at ease. So she also accepted the job readily. Half an hour later, Qingshan Sect leader Lu Qingshan arrived at the dojo with his disciple. As soon as they entered, the two of them were stunned by everything in front of them. Lu Qingshan just took a glance at the painting on the wall. He felt a strong martial intent. He had a sudden enlightenment right on the spot. At this moment, Zhong Qing, who was cleaning the dojo, also saw the two of them. She learned that the two individuals were from the Qingshan Sect. Zhong Qing was taken aback. She thought they were going to capture her for sneaking into the mountain gate. She called out repeatedly to the two men. She begged them not to capture her and feed her to the dogs. Seeing this, Lanchua wanted to go up and help him up, but he was stopped by Lu Qingshan. "Lanchua, don't be disrespectful. Veteran is someone you can help up. I have heard that Buddha has another Western deity who will go to test believers in the guise of a contemptible person. In that case, is he the veteran sent to test us?" She is holding a feather duster. This object is used for removing dust. Removing dust is equivalent to removing distracting thoughts. Only by eliminating distracting thoughts can one accomplish things. Therefore, this must be the first trial indicated by the wise to us. Today, we must let the wise person truly see our sincerity. I understand. Stay pure, eliminate distracting thoughts, and get things done. That's how sect leader Lu Qingshan of the Qingshan Sect and his chief disciple began the cleaning work of the dojo. This scene left Zhong Qing on the side dumbfounded. Are you really cultivators of the Qingshan Sect? Why are you competing with me for work? And by the way, I am really a guy. He was originally a royal prince of the sky-devouring wolf clan, overlords of the realm of Yaguais. Now he is going to be turned into a hot pot by mortals. He watched as Yi Feng was chopping vegetables. Lu Qingshan was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat, because he recognized the dog that was tied up. It's the rarest sky-devouring wolf in the Yaguai race. He is afraid that he will be hunted to death by the Yaguai wolf race for the rest of his life. People who dare to do this are definitely more than just at the martial emperor stage. At this moment, the originally bound Yaguai wolf, he broke free from the ropes on his body. Lu Qingshan thought he was going to rise up and resist. Unexpectedly, the next second, he directly kneeled down. This scene also shocked Lu Qingshan. The majestic sky-devouring wolf actually begged for mercy. Yi Feng looked at this foolish dog. He also felt that it was similar to the one he had raised in his previous life. The two dogs do have some similarities, so he decided to keep it as a pet. But this simple idea of his deeply moved Lu Qingshan. The veteran unexpectedly let go of the Yaguai wolf at the last moment. What a kind and compassionate person he is. In this case, perhaps it wouldn't be a problem to borrow a celestial weapon from a master. Moreover, this knife just easily subdued the martial spirit pinnacle Yaguai wolf. At this time, Luo Lanxue only heard him clasping his hands and saying, "Forgive Lanxue for being blunt. I would like to ask you to lend me this knife to help my faction break away from the..." Before she could finish her sentence, Lu Qingshan forcefully pushed her to the ground. "Idiot, you are exposing your greed this way." Veteran, he is not happy anymore. The two people looked at Yi Feng holding a kitchen knife. Both of them were so frightened that they broke out in a cold sweat. Who would have thought that Yi Feng would be indifferent and say, "Just borrow it. It's not something valuable anyway. What's the big deal? Take it. I can use this kitchen knife for a couple of fights every day." Lu Qingshan took the knife trembling. He was moved to tears immediately. He thought, "Heaven does not forsake my Qingshan Sect." However, Yi Feng saw him crying even when borrowing a knife, which also stirred up compassion in his heart. Isn't it too pitiful? He is so poor that he can't even afford a kitchen knife. That night, Patriarch Ning Xuanwu of Xuanwu's sect also received a message of inside information. He learned that Lu Qingshan had recently stepped into the martial king stage and even obtained a celestial weapon. He summoned all disciples to gather in the square. He said he wanted to publicly test the celestial weapon. The object being tested is the huge stone in front of us. This is the Qingshan Sect's ancestral treasure testing stone, extremely tough and unbreakable. Even when struck with the celestial weapon and celestial chi, it only left a few scratches. At this moment, Lu Qingshan was under the gaze of a group of disciples. He took out a broken kitchen knife full of gaps. This made all the disciples and elders shake their heads. He faced the questioning of the crowd. Lu Qingshan did not respond. He aimed the knife at the treasure-testing stone. He was also unclear about the power of this knife, so he planned to gently touch it first to test it out. But he just touched it gently like this. The originally indestructible treasure-testing stone was instantly blown apart. The explosion's light illuminated the entire River Peace City. Look from a distance, just like a spectacular meteor shower. But as the royal prince Ao Qing of the sky-devouring wolf clan, he knows the powerful martial intent and pressure. Obviously, it's an extraordinary celestial weapon. And what touched him the most deeply was that the user of this extraordinary celestial weapon, Lu Qingshan, just lightly touched it. He didn't put any effort into it. The power of this knife is truly too domineering. But it is better not to use it unless absolutely necessary, because he also knows that this knife is not something he can control. The mastery stage, who could create this knife, is probably at least above martial sovereign. After witnessing the power of this celestial weapon, the sect disciples were all filled with joy. With the celestial weapon in hand, Qingshan also gained confidence in his heart. He immediately raised his arm and shouted loudly, "Tomorrow, we will have a final battle with Xuanwu's sect." And it was learned that Qingshan Sect already has the celestial weapon Ning Xuanwu. He also decided to reveal the sect's trump card. He immediately called female disciple Lilith. He asked her to go to Sword Tomb with him. It is the celestial weapon soul-devouring sword of their Xuanwu sect that is stored in Sword Tomb. At the moment when the crowd opened the seal of Sword Tomb, countless restless phantoms flew out. The surrounding flowers, grass, and trees withered completely. And this is exactly the effect that Ning Xuanwu desired. He wants to use the celestial weapon to defeat the celestial weapon. This man just lent out a rusty kitchen knife. It directly triggered a duel between two major immortal cultivation sects. Xuanwu's sect patriarch to deal with this kitchen knife. He spared no effort to bring out the sect's ultimate heritage, the soul-devouring sword, determined to have a final battle with Qingshan Sect. The final battle is less than 4 hours away. However, when the disciple of the Qingshan Sect went to the city to purchase medical supplies, they found that the entire River Peace city was empty. However, they thought it was a normal phenomenon. After all, in this kind of immortal cultivation sect grand duel, if it involves mortals, even a slight touch of spiritual power can be fatal. But the actual situation is somewhat different from what they expected. The entire city's people rushed out of the city not to escape, but to watch a play. The person leading the way up front is Yi Feng. After learning that someone wanted to compete in this martial arts competition, Yi Feng also sensed the business opportunity in it. He deliberately made a large pile of telescopes. He brought all the people of River Peace City to the highest point to watch the performance. Then he rented the telescope to them and charged them based on time. He planned to make a big profit during this duel. At this moment, two sect patriarchs not far away were facing each other in a tense standoff. The battle is about to break out. Just a momentary confrontation. Patriarch Qingshan of the Qingshan Sect was knocked down. Fortunately, he read Yi Feng's book, broke through to Martial King, otherwise he might not have been able to stand up now. To turn the tide, Qingshan slowly pulled out the kitchen knife behind him, ready to fight Ning Xuanwu to the death. Ning Xuanwu also took out the celestial weapon soul-devouring sword. Countless restless phantoms flew out instantly. On the side, Lilith explained with pride that using the soul-devouring sword, which can only be used once at the cost of decades of lifespan, could easily devour the spiritual power of any weapon. In front of him, Qingshan's celestial weapon would soon turn into an ordinary kitchen knife. Qingshan saw his celestial weapon being overwhelmed in momentum. Qingshan also felt intimidated psychologically. He felt he had already lost. And the knife in his hand was borrowed from Master Yi. If it were to be transformed into an ordinary kitchen knife by the soul-devouring sword consuming his spiritual power, how would he explain it to Master Yi? Qingshan was completely at a loss as to what to do at this moment. At this moment, Yi Feng at the top of the cliff suddenly shouted, "Persist! How could you give up so easily? You finished so quickly. I made these more than 10 telescopes by myself. I rely on you to make however much money." Because Yi Feng rented out all the telescopes. So he has no idea at all. Who is fighting whom below? He has no idea who one of them is fighting. It's the old man who lent him the knife. However, this scene fell in Qingshan's eyes. It made him think that Yi Feng brought so many people to cheer him on. It suddenly moved him deeply. What an ultimate encouragement this is. He thought of himself standing in front of the enemy with such courage just now. He even almost dishonored the honor of this knife. Qingshan suddenly felt extremely ashamed. Now he knows what to do. Qingshan was seen only holding a kitchen knife, facing the powerful might of the soul-devouring sword. With a single swing of his knife, he cut off the restless phantom of the soul-devouring sword. A tens of meters long blade-like continued its formidable power, cutting through the earth. Just one strike caused the Xuanwu sect to flee in disarray. This greatly boosted the momentum of the Qingshan Sect, preparing to pursue victory and advance straight to Huanglong. But he was stopped by Lu Qishan. Luo Lanjue was somewhat puzzled. This is the best opportunity to eliminate the Xuanwu sect, venerable master. Who knew it? Lu Qingshan looked at Yi Feng at the top of the cliff and said, Lanjue, look. Mastery was secretly observing from up there just now. If we continue the battle, the higher-ups might be displeased. Master Yi, who is indifferent to fame and fortune, lent me the celestial weapon based solely on a passing encounter. What do you think? In my opinion, the higher-ups do not seek the destruction of either side. The veteran seeks balance. He wants both sides to counterbalance each other to maintain the peace of the River Peace citizens. Such a high-minded and open-hearted individual. It is truly worth spending a lifetime to comprehend and penetrate his mindset. Compared to him, we are indeed as shallow as ants. Is our master really thinking like this? Just now, because they suddenly stopped, all the spectators who came to watch also ran away. Yi Feng's whole mentality collapsed. Can't the guy below be more enduring? I've invested so much in this. You said you wouldn't fight, and now you're not fighting. This is a blow to my already not wealthy family. It's just adding insult to injury. Later. Yi Feng, who didn't make any money and even lost some, is preparing to go home. I see you have not entered any text. Is there anything else I can assist you with? He never thought about it while on the road. He met his childhood sweetheart Peng Ying in this world. He thought the other person came to find him. So he warmly stepped forward to say hello. Peng Ying, had a cold expression as he brushed off his hand and said, You misunderstand. I am just following Venerable Master's orders to find a skilled individual. Yi Feng was also puzzled when he heard this. What Venerable Master? At this time, Peng Ying turned her head arrogantly and said, I know your intentions. I'm sorry. You are a good person. I have already joined the Qingshan Sect with the help of a senior brother. I know. With my talent, it's impossible for me to join the Qingshan Sect. Cultivating in the Qingshan Sect has always been my dream. So I promised my senior brother that I will not associate with other men anymore. I'm leaving now. Let's not meet again in the future. With that, she left without looking back. However, what she didn't know was that the master she was looking for was the person right in front of her, Yi Feng. And the person she referred to as senior brother. It is Yu Wujia, the spy sent by the Xuanwu sect to the Qingshan Sect. After Yu Wujia found out that Peng Ying did not find any expert, he angrily shouted, Go find an expert! As a result, you and the other men got into a scuffle. How did you agree with me? That guy is just a mediocre dojo owner who daydreams all day. Writing some nonsense martial arts manual can't compare to you. If I hadn't accidentally encountered you, I wouldn't have bothered with him. Okay, big brother, don't be angry. In my heart, there is only you. Peng Ying and Yu Wujia, who were acting coquettishly, couldn't help but give a cold snort in his heart. Stupid woman. Can't even find a partner properly. If it weren't for your looks, I wouldn't bother with you. Blame that damn expert. If it weren't for him messing around, Ning Xuanwu, that unlucky guy, wouldn't have lost. I have to do something quickly. Otherwise, when the Xuanwu sect catches its breath, they will definitely blame me. Luo Lanqiu previously obtained secret techniques from a certain dojo, which helped Lu Qingshan achieve his breakthrough. So he immediately turned to ask Peng Ying, You just said the guy runs a dojo. Is his hobby writing books? He received a positive answer. Yu Wujia laughed out loud. He then leaped forward and flew towards the distance. He thought to himself, If he is really a master, I just need to watch. Xuanwu sect can fight him to a draw. Otherwise, Using him as a punching bag for Xuanwu's sect's frustrations would be just right. Shortly after, Yu Wujie arrived at Xuanwu's sect. He told Ning Xuanwu about the matter at the dojo. Although Ning Xuanwu doesn't believe that there are any masters in River Peace City. But he decided to send a disciple to probe first. And at this time, it had been 3 days since Yi Feng received the good guy card. Since that day he came back, Yi Feng locked himself in his room. He didn't step out of the room for a full 3 days. Zhong Qing is also very worried. Thought he was really heartbroken by a woman. However, when he walked into the room, he was startled by the scene in front of him. I saw only Yi Feng crouching alone in the corner. The room was filled with smoke, and there were abandoned paper balls strewn around. It's only been a few days since I last saw the room, and it's already in such a mess. It seems like the boss is really heartbroken. To think that such a devoted person would end up like this, it's truly unbearable. Boss, rest assured. With me, Zhong Qing, here, I will never let you fall so low. Just as Zhong Qing made up his mind to step forward to help. But then Yi Feng suddenly turned around and said, "So you're going to help? I was planning to treat you to barbecue. Yet you insist on working. You don't look at all like someone who's heartbroken." But then he changed his mind. I jumped to conclusions too soon. The boss must be too emotional. He doesn't want to show it in front of me. It's a pity that I'm just a boy and cannot help the boss solve it. So he asked carefully, "Boss, are you hurt emotionally?" He didn't expect it. Yi Feng simply said indifferently, "You mentioned Peng Ying. She's just my childhood sweetheart. Women only affect the speed at which I make money. And by the way, the speed at which I grill meat. Okay, go sell books for me quickly. I rely on you to buy a horse-drawn carriage next month. Come on, working hard, worker." By this time, Zhong Qing also understood. Yi Feng locked himself in the room for 3 days. It was not because of any emotional injury at all, but because he was writing a book. He wrote these several fantastic books based on memories of his past lives. They are the stories of 3 men from different countries, a group of women and 1 man, 3 women and 105 men, and 4 Yugwai and 1 man. But can these really be sold? Pay attention. Look at the stone that is being used to repair the steps in front of you. It is a treasure of the immortal Cultivation sect used to suppress evil spirits. With it, one can withstand attacks even from the martial sovereign powerhouses. It can also turn calamities into blessings. But such a treasure, when it arrives at Yi Feng's house, is only fit to be used to repair the steps. Even if it is the legendary sacred grade weapon. In front of him, it is just a farming tool. Ning Xuanwu learned about the expert who helped the Qingshan Sect. Just an ordinary dojo owner afterwards. He immediately sent his disciple Wuchen. Bring along the Xuanwu sect's treasure, the heaven-shaking stone, to go and investigate. Who would have thought that the person he sent out had not even entered the door? He was hit by the plaque in front of the dojo, and the bursting pressure left nothing. Even the heaven-shaking stone in his hand was bounced off and flew into the dojo. Yi Feng thought the patterns on this stone were quite beautiful. So he used it to repair the steps. The size was not too big or too small, just right. Then he came to the courtyard and started playing chess with an old farmer. Of course, this old farmer was also quite skilled. He is a martial sovereign. He is also a dominant figure in the outside world. At this moment, he slowly spoke. "Brother Yi, at the beginning, I thought I was on the same level as you. But upon closer inspection, I find you somewhat inscrutable." He heard what the old man said. Yi Feng was speechless. He thought to himself, "Why is this Chunibu old man showing up again?" So he had to casually reply with a sentence. "Of course, you can't see through me. This chess game, I was the one who taught you." However, when these words reached the old man's ears, he did have a different question. He came here to play chess many times, but has never been able to determine Yi Feng's true cultivation level. There are many cultivation methods, and secret techniques in the celestial river continent. He felt that Yi Feng must have cultivated a cultivation method that makes it impossible for others to see through his cultivation level. But if there really is such a person, then in the cultivation world, he couldn't possibly be an unknown figure. Could it be that he is really stronger than me? The old man became more and more shocked as he thought about it. When he looked back at the chessboard, he realized that he had been checkmated. While he was shocked by Yi Feng's strength, suddenly he noticed something unusual at his feet. Looking closely, he was once again shocked. The stone he was stepping on turned out to be the heaven-shaking stone. He brought such a treasure to use as a doorstop. He seemed to be saying, "I can find this thing easily. What about you?" At this moment, Yi Feng made a modest statement. In the eyes of the old man, this is seen as a provocation. He thought that with his cultivation level, he should know the heavenly shaking stone is very valuable, yet he is treating the treasure so carelessly. Whether it's strategy or the game at play, this person is more formidable than I had imagined. Adding to that is his implication. The old man feels that this should be a contest at a different level. No wonder he can be so confident. However, it seems that he underestimates me a bit. Thinking of this, the old man pulled out his weapon's sacred grade rake. He began to scratch as if for show, even asking Yi Feng to take a look. He saw Yi Feng's surprised expression. The old man felt very proud in his heart. Admit it. This is something I risked everything, even half of my life, to obtain, the seven-toothed sacred rake. However, looking at the aura of this rake, tears welled up in the corners of his eyes as he said, unable to hold back his emotions. "It's all rusty. You should just throw it away. Doing farm work must be very inconvenient. I should have noticed it earlier. You deliberately lost to me each time you asked me to play chess with you. It was so that I would help you repair your farming tools, right?" Upon hearing this, the old man was instantly infuriated. "How dare you disrespect the celestial artifact that you pride yourself in?" Yi Feng felt even more sympathetic seeing him so agitated. He thought to himself that farming is not easy after all. It's really concerning when the tool for eating, the rake, has a problem. It would be strange not to be anxious. So he carried the rake into the house, asking the old man to wait for a moment. He planned to repair it for him. The old man gritted his teeth and agreed. He wanted to see what Yi Feng could come up with since he looked down on his seven-toothed sacred rake. The man simply refurbished a rusty rake at hand. He restored it to the sacred grade level. However, he just felt that the feel of digging the ground this way would be better. He casually gave away the sacred grade top-grade weapon. He is our male lead Yi Feng, a man who can make anything seem so ordinary. Just like the martial sovereign powerhouse in front of us. He took out his pride and joy, the sacred grade weapon, to show off. Yi Feng, however, thought that the other party had come to repair his agricultural tools. He carried the rake into the house, and made a few clattering sounds. At this time, Zhongqing suddenly ran over to report. "Boss, the grandfather, who borrowed the kitchen knife before is coming to see you. He said he wants to return the favor." Upon hearing this, Yi Feng realized it was the chef from Qingshan farmhouse. However, forget about returning the favor for now. Let them in first. I'll come after I finish forging the farm tools. At this moment, Qingshan Sect patriarch Lu Qingshan also brought junior sister Zhu Yun to the Zhu Yun dojo. Looking at the rundown appearance of this dojo, Zhu Yun sighed. She felt that there couldn't possibly be any masters here. She especially disregarded senior brother's opinion. However, the moment she stepped through the dojo gates, she felt a strange power. She took a closer look. This is actually the heaven-shaking stone. The treasure of the founding ancestor of Xuanwu sect. It was actually used to repair the door sill. Before she could recover from the shock, she saw Lu Qingshan had already walked in. He pointed ahead excitedly and said, "Open your eyes wide. Take a good look before you speak." Zhu Yun was taken aback for a moment and asked, "What should I take a closer look at?" At this moment, a golden dragon suddenly flew out of the forge not far away. This is exactly the vision that Yi Feng had when repairing farming tools. Lu Qingshan saw this scene. He said nervously, "Don't panic over such a small matter." But he was actually the most panicked one, and Zhuyan wasn't much better. She swallowed hard before managing to speak haltingly. "Could it be that I'm seeing things? This is the celestial artifact used by the seven-toothed sacred rake, as legend has it, to eliminate the Yogui and demons in Shunjing, the celestial maiden of the 9 heavens." Zhu Yun's face was full of disbelief. However, Lu Qingshan confidently stated, "It can't be fake. This is the seven-toothed sacred rake." In the midst of speaking, the two also noticed the old farmer next to them. That person was radiating the same martial intent as the sacred rake. It should be his. Since ancient times, those who can use sacred grade abilities, at least at the martial emperor level or above. And this person looks a bit like him. The madman who slaughtered Celestial River 6 town years ago, but has been missing for 30 years. It shouldn't be just a coincidence, right? At this time, only to hear the old farmer suddenly speak. "You two are also here to find Brother Yi, right? Come, have a cup of tea." Upon hearing the old man calling out to Yi Feng, the two were suddenly startled. The two hurriedly agreed. At this point, Zhu Yun was also in a panic, thinking of quickly giving the knife and gift to the expert and leaving. But Lu Qingshan expressed concern that he was afraid of being too late. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came from the forging room. A golden log flew out from it. Yi Feng finally finished repairing this farming tool. He casually waved it a couple of times and felt that the hand feel was quite good. So he carried the rake out. However, this really scared Lu Qingshan and the other two. He actually upgraded a half-sacred grade weapon to a peak sacred grade weapon. You should know that owning a sacred grade weapon can rule one side. Who on earth is he? Watching Yi Feng Zhuyan getting closer and closer has scared her so much that her face has lost its color. Suddenly, the two noticed the old farmer sitting beside them. Surprisingly, his face remained unchanged. As a cultivator himself, witnessing such a spectacular scene, he remained as calm as still water. Truly an exemplary figure for them. However, what they didn't know was, at this moment, the old man was simply too shocked to speak. In his heart, there was only one phrase: "Holy!" The fact that the other person had directly forged his incomplete half-sacred grade into a true sacred grade left him dumbfounded. It was only at this moment that he realized how ridiculous his previous competitive nature had been. At this point, Yi Feng appeared in front of him carrying the rake, saying, "It's not free repair, but I can give you a 50% discount." However, these words startled the old man. Even at a 10% discount, he couldn't afford this sacred grade weapon. The slightly damaged seven-toothed sacred rake had already cost him all his wealth and half his life to obtain. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to take away this rake today. Yi Feng saw his unpleasant expression. He knew that the old man had no money. He thought to himself, "It's really pitiful that he doesn't even have a single coin." So he could only sigh and say, "Forget it. Since there is only one broken rake, if you are really short of money, then I'll just give it to you." The words shocked the three of them greatly. "You call this a broken rake?" The old farmer's heart also blossomed instantly upon hearing Yi Feng's words. Even his title changed from Brother Yi to Master Yi. He tearfully expressed, "Master Yi, I will always remember your kindness. Perhaps you will never need me in your lifetime. But I, Wu Yonghong, swear here that if you ever need me, I will absolutely give my life without hesitation." The other two heard what the old man said. Both of them were startled. He turned out to be the city slaughterer, one of the 4 madmen of the chaotic era. As the old man's voice fell, a thunderstorm suddenly broke out in the sky. Wu Yonghong even swore by pointing at the sky, covenant of heaven and earth, using bones as the vow. Any violation will inevitably lead to destruction. Seeing the old man uttering such Chunibu lines, Yi Feng was instantly rendered speechless. He thought to himself, this old man is quite advanced in age, yet why is he so Chunibu? It's almost unbearable. Watching it makes me feel chronic second-hand embarrassment. But compared to Yi Feng's speechlessness. On the other side, Lu Qingshan and the two men appeared to be very excited. The fact that the two of them can see it in their lifetime is truly gratifying. The establishment of the covenant of heaven and earth is really fulfilling in this life. The covenant of heaven and earth is a type of covenant that can only be signed by strong individuals of martial emperor level. It is a covenant that is witnessed by the heavens and the earth. Once signed, it cannot be violated, an absolute covenant. What kind of terrifying cultivation level and stage does Master Yi have to be able to make such powerful individuals bow down in respect? At this point, Wu Yonghong blushed and said timidly, "The Mastery Covenant has been established. I am willing to do whatever you ask of me." Yi Feng agreed to anything. He decisively kicked him out. However, Wu Yonghong, who was driven out, did not lose heart. Instead, he was even more grateful and tearful. "Master Yi, I know you are honorable and have no ulterior motives towards me. But the covenant has been signed. I will definitely repay this kindness, Master Yi. The green mountains remain, and the flowing waters endure. We shall meet again." Yi Feng couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. He thought to himself, "What a true Chinibyu old man. If he doesn't leave soon, I swear my toes could dig out a whole 3-bedroom apartment from embarrassment." And the scene where Yi Feng drove Wu Yonghong out once again shocked the two members of the Qingshan Sect. They were astonished that he didn't care at all about the city slaughter's covenant of heaven and earth. I suppose only Mastery could do something like that. What kind of book is this? What causes the sect patriarch to resort to physical violence against his fellow sect elder, who is a junior sister? He also said that the content of this book is too profound for you to grasp, junior sister. Let me handle it. After the two of them had experienced Wu Yonghong's covenant of heaven and earth, Lu Qingshan also took out the gift he brought, the treasured flame bead of Qingshan Sect. Yi Feng took it and praised the craftsmanship of the glass bead, saying it's pretty good. It's quite warm. It can also be used as a hand warmer in winter. When they heard their treasured glass bead being called a hand warmer, the two of them didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But as long as Mastery likes it, it's all good. At this moment, Yi Feng took out a novel he had just written from the house, intending to give it to them as a gift in return. Zhu Yun had not yet opened it when she sensed a strong and pure martial intent, knowing that senior brother must have relied on it to level up. The two of them quickly bowed to Yi Feng to express their gratitude. She then hurriedly took Lu Qingshan's hand and left, planning to find a concealed place to break through. Yi Feng watched their hurried departure. He thought to himself, wondering if they were still my first group of fans. The two returned to the Qingshan Sect. Lu Qingshan directly reprimanded Zhu Yun. "I was originally planning to refuse. How could you take the book back without permission? Moreover, the profound martial intent in this book is all illusory. The situation inside is complicated. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it, junior sister." However, despite his words, he showed no intention of letting go of the book. The two of them disregarded their image and started vying for the novel that Yi Feng had just written. However, in the end, Lu Qingshan emerged victorious, putting the book into his bag. At the same time, he was speculating in his heart. In ancient times, River Peace was the immortals' cultivation grounds, which indicated that this place was out of the ordinary. Mastery may be planning a big move in the next game. At this moment, Yi Feng was holding the newly written novel and arrived at the entrance of the River Peace Chamber of Commerce. With his current financial situation, he can no longer make ends meet. If he succeeds this time, he will definitely have no worries about food and clothing. However, reality always goes against one's wishes. Yi Feng has just mentioned continuing to print the new book. Just then, Head Mao from the River Peace Merchant Guild said coldly, "They want me to print those useless fairy tales again. That's completely unnecessary. After all, we are a large merchant guild. There's a bunch of people below pointing at me for a living. Doing things without returns like this is just headache-inducing. Wouldn't you agree? I'm just a straightforward person when I speak. Please don't take offense. How about I give you some money to try elsewhere? You have helped me after all. I will definitely help when I can. Yi Feng understood the meaning behind the other party's words. Yi Feng immediately prepared to leave. He then left the River Peace Guild without looking back. Watching Yi Feng's figure gradually disappear into the distance, Mao Lin disdainfully said, "Just a humble villager from the mountains. If it weren't for me helping him, he wouldn't even have the opportunity to publish a book. This matter is like a drop in the bucket compared to the focus of our business association. This man has become a copycat writer in the immortal cultivation world. Thought he had written the 4 great classics of China. It would lead him to the pinnacle of life. Never thought he would be rejected even when trying to publish a book." At this moment, Yi Feng can only sit on the street with a look of loneliness. Fortunately, at this moment, the sister duo from the Qingshan Sect happened to pass by. The two of them found out that the popular Dream of the Red Chamber in River Peace City was created by Yi Feng. Luo Lanchua immediately started to daydream. I never thought that mastery was the author. I never expected his inner world to be so delicate, soft yet strong, involving family and country. Love and deep feelings can actually converge in one person. And the little girl also expressed at this time that she had a way to help. It turns out that her father, as the head of the Baofeng Trade Association, can publish the book effortlessly. But she has a small request. It's for Yi Feng to kiss her senior sister. Because she had already noticed that senior sister had a secret affection for Yi Feng. That's why she took the opportunity to make this request. And upon hearing this request, Yi Feng also blushed instantly. Because whether in the past or now, he is someone with zero experience in love. Forever single. After being single for so many years, he finally had a chance to get close to a girl. Yi Feng felt that today should be his shining moment in life. He was moved to tears in an instant. He lifted Luo Lanchua's chin and softly said, "Since you brought it up, I'll sacrifice my looks. The form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Come on." After he finished speaking, he pounced with his mouth open. However, Luo Lanchua dodged at this moment. Now in her mind, all she could think of was the sentence that Yi Feng had just said. Form is emptiness. What is this supreme stage? In the 3,000 great thousand worlds, each has its own path of cultivation. It is said that there is a dual cultivation method, where physical intimacy and mutual support can greatly enhance one's progress in the stage of cultivation through synchronized breathing. The gentleman holds great love in his heart, shedding tears for us weaker beings. I hope to use this method to help me progress. I was just thinking of some nonsense earlier. I really should be ashamed. She immediately looked ashamed and said, "Junior sister was reckless and ignorant, making such a request to the gentleman. The gentleman is a wise person. It is our honor to be able to help. We dare not have any other intentions. Please forgive us." Upon hearing this, Yi Feng quickly explained, "I am not unwilling. My intention was not excessive." However, Luo Lanchua said that Mr. Yi Feng need not say more. Lanchua knows she is unworthy. Now please, Mr. Yi Feng, come with us to Baofeng Trade Association to discuss the matter of publishing together. Upon hearing this, Yi Feng also felt relieved. Indeed, there are not that many good things in the world after all. Shortly after, the few people arrived at the Baofeng Trade Association. The little girl rushed up to her father as soon as she saw him.